So what a year it has been for Ibane Gaels. Not only did they win the hurling under-21A Carbery Championship, but also the football as well recently against Newcestown after extra time in an absolute thriller of a game. And I'm delighted to be joined here by Paul Holland, their manager of the team, and a legend in the managerial circles himself. So how are things with yourself, Paul? Have things in Ibane calmed down?
They have, yeah. There was a Sunday evening was fair bit of excitement. I think the nature of the way the game finished, I'd say, contributed to that. And sure, look, they all headed back up to Cork on Monday to meet their friends in college or whatever, like the lads that are on third level, so we didn't see much of them. But actually, look, it was, you couldn't fault them for having knocking a day or two out of it anyway,
And I suppose what's that been like fellas going up to college and back down to West Cork? Like I've heard from Pat Nolan, the Gabriel's manager the last few weeks, saying there was an issue there, with trainings, etc. They had to train on Friday evenings. Has there been any sort of pressure with yourself, or have the lads just bought into the whole thing?
No, sure, look, similar to it's every other club at that age group with lads away in college. Once the championship starts, you only get them on a Friday night. We have a couple of lads playing Cornivery with Clonakilty. We have a couple of lads playing freshers in college in Cork and stuff. So, weren't too worried about them midweek. If they got a session in themselves with the school or the college, was fine. We just got together on a Friday night and got our ducks in a row. Really spoke about the game Sunday, what we needed to do, and light session, and that was it really,
To do the under-21 double is remarkable for a club like Ibane, obviously an amalgamation between Barryroe and Timoleague. It's an unreal achievement to win both in 1 year. Like, what was the kind of the key behind that? Were the players just driven to do it this year?
I'd say very few people would be aware of the key behind it, but it was actually last year's hurling championship. If I can remember correctly, it was kind of put on at short notice, and it was played, I think, at 9:30 on the Sunday morning up in Ahio last year. We were playing Newcestown actually, and I wasn't directly involved. I went up to watch it, and Danny Murphy was in charge of hurling, and we just didn't turn up. And all the mentors, and Danny Murphy included, and myself, who'd been involved, the lads down through the years, we were very disappointed that morning. Didn't show up at all. We put 5, 6, 7 years of work into that bunch, and that morning, I'd say, set the tone for the season, if I was being totally honest, looking back at it, I
suppose to win the football, in dramatic circumstances, as you said previously in the chat, for Newcestown to go a point up going into additional time, and then for Ryan to kick that score, then Newcestown get a goal in extra time, and then you win it at the date. It was dramatic scenes at the end.
Yeah, well, I actually think the hurling was equally as a crazy finish. We were leading all the way. I think Newcestown equalised in the 67th minute of normal time that day. They actually went 4 points up then in extra time. We were 4 points down at half time in extra time in the hurling final, and we got 5 points in a row to win it. And there's no doubt in my mind that it stood to the bunch for the rest of the year, especially in the 21 football. And we actually spoke about it at the end of normal time before we started extra time. We've been there before. And again, at halftime, we were 2 points down in the football final last day. But I thought that scoreline was wrong insofar as I thought we played the better football in the first 10 minutes of extra time. We turned the ball over, coming out of defence. They got a goal off it, put us 2 points down. But, as I said to the lads at halftime and extra time, I said if we can't create 2 chances and take them, then we don't deserve to win it. But I think we 621 games all year, and I don't think we won any more than there was a score in each game, I think, which is a great sign of the team as well.
I suppose you mentioned the great sign of the team there, to bounce back from losing. You said the hurling last year, the football as well, a pretty heavy defeat to Carbery Rangers last season as well. So, to bounce back and to win both titles and do them in extra time as well, it's remarkable, and it probably just shows the sign of a good group there.
Yeah, look, we wouldn't have been overly disappointed with the football last year insofar as Ross had a very strong team last year. We got to the final of it, so we performed a decent level. Eamon Gilvin was over them last year there, and we had to play that final not at full strength. We'd fellas involved with Cork under 20s and that was just a condition of the competition at the time. It really, for me, and I didn't reference it to the lads, but for me, being involved this year, being up in Ahio last year, watching that under-21 hurling championship game, where it looked as if we didn't want to be there, to be honest. Like, it was 9:30 on Sunday morning. Newcestown were strong. They were up for it. We never got to the pitch of the game, or we never kind of made an attempt to get to it. And, that was in the back of my mind for the year, to be honest.
And you mentioned losing to Ross last season, but obviously you beat them in the semi-finals, you beat Castlehaven at the quarter-finals, 2 Premier Senior sides in the Cork Championship as well, with very good players like Robbie Minahan, Tomas O'Mahony, I think, was playing as well, Pat O'Rourke, loads of them. I think Jack Cavan might have been as well for Carbery Rangers. So, like, they were brimmed with talent, and he still came out the winning side of it both games, and against Newcestown, to be fair to them as well, who are a Premier Senior side this season as well. So, a brilliant one.
Yeah, look, I suppose that's the biggest challenge when you have your players are playing junior. Like, we have fellas playing under 21 that didn't start on their respective clubs' junior teams this year. We have fellas that started this year in all those games and were giving them very important jobs that didn't make the team when they were minor. So, like, the lads that are interested stick at it. They try to improve, they learn. But the biggest thing there is we had to change the lads' mindset, like when they got together as a dual amalgamated club. They're like no other young lad in West Cork. When they've got their own sport played at the weekend, they're going to go into Bandon to watch Castlehaven play Nemo, or they're going to go down to Clan to watch Ross against Nemo, or up Newcestown against Clonmel. And they're going in watching guys their own age playing on a big stage, big experience, big exposure. And I suppose the biggest job we kind of felt down through the years of our lads was try to get the belief into them that, it's a level playing field now. Granted, they're with a big club and they're playing a higher grade than you, but when you're in your own age group, they are what they are, and we have what we have. And I suppose we're lucky. It could have gone either way. The group of lads that we have kind of accepted that test, I suppose, and challenge, and they kind of saw that they weren't far away at the start. And we, like, Newcestown beat us in the minor hurling final in Clan 3 years ago. Great game, and they deserved to win in the day. But, I know for a fact that game has stuck in our players' minds for a good few years as well,
And like you mentioned, a lot of them players playing junior, and a lot of them going to watch games and stuff like that. Like, they learn tips along the way. It seemed that way anyway, because the players played brilliant this year, a few of them players, and really it was a team effort, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, I suppose we have the host. We have a couple of names there, like guys that have got exposure. Again, it's very easy to run a line through it. When Ibane got together, more of our players ended up maybe on Clan Community College, Corny team, because we're playing at a higher level and they were up to the pace when they went in there for that. Then the guys that did well there got seen by Cork, and we have the last 3 or 4 years for an area like this, which would have a massive tradition in inter-county football. We have a couple of minor All-Irelands, we have a couple of Munster under 20 medals around the place. So, we'd be happy enough that what we have, and the biggest thing we have is the guys in the background have worked hard at their own game to try and get up to that level, and they are reaching that,
And I suppose, like, during that game against Newcestown, obviously the Ryan frees, the free to equalise it at the end, and then the free to win it. Like, stuff of dreams, really. I know he's a Cork minor and he scored a goal after extra time against Galway, but that has to be up there with one of the best moments of his career, surely. Like, and just as a matter of interest, like, how were you feeling before Ryan stepped up to the ball? First of all, for the equalising score, because this was a big kick.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was calm enough insofar as there was no one better we could have on the ball at that stage. And Ryan has a kind of an attitude in his sport, he makes plenty of mistakes in his games, but he moves on from it very quickly. He just wants to get the ball again, wants to create a scoring chance and see can he take it. So his character actually served us well in that instance, because he actually fancied it. He fancied himself taking it, which is a great position to be in such an important kick,
And what I get from Ryan as well, a load of other players like Olin, Dara, a load of them other players, that they enjoy their football as well, and that has to be a key aspect as well.
Well, they do. Look, I mean, again, the group of players we have, we sit down, we look at them, what have we got? We've got fellas that can play football. And so we play kind of an attacking brand of football now. Some say it's too attacky at times, we had a good lead the last day. But, I think, guys at that age, you want them to enjoy their sport as much as possible. And look, winning the championship really is a bonus from a coaching point of view or player development point of view, you know, we played Castlehaven, we played Carbery Rangers, we played Newcestown, as you said earlier there. Now, to win the championship, beating the three of them was a great achievement. But equally, from my point of view, is the exposure to the guys, testing themselves against guys that are playing at a higher level and seeing that they're able to bring that confidence back to Team League, bring it back to Barryroe, and try and make our junior team stronger. Like, you know, that's the ultimate aim.
You mentioned the junior teams there, like Argideen Rangers obviously reached the final of the Junior A Football Championship, just getting beaten by St. James in the final. Barryroe have a few good players who beat it on paper as well. So, like, this under-21 win will spur the confidence for them lads to go on and do brilliant things in the Junior Championship as well, I would imagine. Well,
look, that's what we hope, but that's not a given. You know, the work is still going to have to put in. It's a new competition. What we did this year under 21 will have zero bearing on the Premier Junior Hurling Championship next year or the Junior A Football Championship next year, you know. And I think then, you know, a lot of it is mindset. Like, you know, these guys, you know, 4 of that Newcestown team last Sunday there, 4 of them played in the forwards against their Rogue in the relegation Premier Senior Football final over in Brunei. I watched it. Like, they're just used to big games, losing big games as well as winning them. You have to move on. You have to be ruthless in your attitude, get ready for the week after. And I suppose, you know, at lower levels in sport, maybe that's one of the things you have to work on, really, you know, the mindset about how you approach your games, you know, accept the challenge, see where you are at the end of the game, where you're good enough, where you're not, what you need to do, go back, try and improve. So getting the little gut checks against the likes of Newcestown and Bandon and Carbery Rangers and Castlehaven along the way, it's invaluable as far as I'm concerned for what we're trying to do and develop a new bunch of players for both adult clubs, you know.
I suppose like playing them sort of big clubs like Bandon, the Town, Castlehaven, or football royalty there, Carbery Rangers won the under-21 championship last season. Like, playing these big sides will only age you in the long run, really.
Yeah, if you go about it the right way, Matthew, you know, you have to, you know, some guys will shy away from it and they won't turn up and say, oh, you know, they'll still be in awe. They'll only go and they'll watch them the Sunday before in a senior match, and you go play them in championship in their own age group, and they'll only watch them again. And that's what you have to prevent happening. You have to go and test yourself, see where you are. You know, I mean, initially the under-21 football was 2 groups. The time went against the West Cork board, and they changed it to they rejigged the draw, open draw, and we could see the path with Castlehaven in the first round. If we won there, we had possibility of playing Carbery or Ibane Gaels, and then the other side had Newcestown and Clan, whoever. So, you know, it was there in front of us, and it kind of focused the mind really with, like, to be fair to the lads, everything we put in front of them before the championship started, they took it on. We went up and played MTUC Freshers in a very good game. And, like, you know, you have to give the lads a lot of credit. The Wednesday night before we played Castlehaven, we had 21 or 2 guys up in Mourneabbey playing Clyde Rovers in an under-21 football challenge, which was a great game. Clyde really tested us there in the second half. They came back at us strong, and it was ideal preparation. But my point is, they turned up to those games, they prepared properly because they knew what they were facing, and they accepted that they had to go about their business properly to meet Castlehaven down in Ross in the first round, you know.
I suppose take you back to yourself, like you managed Valley Rovers in the last few seasons in senior football. You managed obviously Argideen Rangers in the Premier Junior Hurling Championship this season as well. And now you're managing the under-21 Ibane Gaels team, obviously. Like, what would be the big difference between managing underage and senior sides?
I looked again, you can break it down. You can look at the likes of the guys that have having to coach the experience in the under-21 team. They're well used to meetings prior to games, maybe on a Friday night, and the tactics board coming out and bits and pieces happening. Other guys then in the panel mightn't be used to that. So you just have to be aware of your audience. Don't overface them. But it's a great introduction to kind of really, you know, tactics and setup. Like, I mean, when you're going facing the likes of Jack Cahalane, David Buckley, all these exposed very quickly, like, you know. And I enjoyed that as well. I enjoyed that part of it. Before every game we met in the dressing room below in Team League, and we had our little meeting. We went through the tactics board, got sorted, and we all left together. So you'll be hoping all that will just add into the development of all the players, like, you know, and just kind of bring them on.
I suppose the camaraderie of the whole team, like you mentioned, a lot of them went to Clonakilty Community College. A lot of them go to college together, I think, as well in Cork. So, yeah, the lads are great friends as well, and that must be a key aspect and why they're so successful as well.
They are. I mean, like, you know, I'd often someone pass a comment like, "How are you getting on?" or "Do they get on?" and so I just laugh at them, like, you know. I mean, I've been in a lot of dressing rooms, and this dressing room in particular is the tightest dressing room I've ever been in. They just, from the word go, they're just a nice bunch of lads. And look, they were nervous starting out. I can remember them back under 15, 16 there, and they were, you know, it was tough on them, but they stuck with it. They got the reward. Like, that team hasn't won anything in 5 years since under 16. No, there's a good reason for that. They were away playing Premier 1 and Premier 2 football for the last 3 years minor, you know, and maybe some people might have forgot that, but we got to the final of the non-exam league there a couple of years ago against Douglas, lost at the last kick of the game. We've played Mallow, Glanmire, the Bars, Ballincollig, so they've got plenty of exposure throughout the last couple of years playing minor, but it has definitely brought them on, because look, they weren't as good as the teams they were playing all the time, and they had to tighten up as a group and back each other and help each other out. And definitely this season it helped. As I said, I think 6 games, I think we won all of them by more than just 1 score. So, you know, the proof is in the pudding. And it's a kind of joke amongst ourselves, really. Like, you know, we let people think what they want to think about it, and are we tight or not, but anybody involved knows the truth, like, you know.
And like the lads growing up together, they play very well. Obviously, they won the under-20 championship. Like even for a few players, like there's aspirations to even play for Cork in the future. Like, what will this win really do for their aspirations to go play for Cork in the future as well?
Well, I suppose you'd hope that would just give them the motivation to go away and do their gym work at the moment in preparation for next year, and analyze their season past and see where they were good and where they need to improve. And that's all you can do. You can just keep improving and, you know, keep trying to playing well and hope that phone call comes. Like, but that doesn't happen. Again, there's a lot of work goes into it before that happens, you know. And especially with the new age grades, you know, under 17, under 20, you know, I think there'll be less guys of those age groups coming through, because 18 and 21, you were closer to the adult competition, especially under 21, and you had a fair idea what a guy was about. Fellas still playing 18 or 19 years of age, playing under 20 into county football. It's fast, it's quick, it's a bit loose. You know, there's a couple of other boxes to be checked before anybody progresses on to senior into county sport, you know.
And finally, I suppose, just looking forward to next year for both clubs, for Barryroe and Argideen and Junior Championship. Like the future does bode well for both sides. Maybe the hurling as well, and the football in the Junior A Championship, with St. James is obviously going to Premier Junior, so they're out of the way. So, like, would there be kind of a confidence there to get more trophies at the board at junior level?
I wouldn't say confidence. I would say the opportunity is there if they go about their business properly for both clubs. Now, look, that Premier Junior Hurling Championship this year, I was very, very impressed with the standard in it. Like, I'd been involved in Premier Senior football for a couple of years. You know, I can see Ballygiblin, likes of Ballygiblin, Russell Rovers, all these teams. They will survive in a grade 1 or 2 grades above what they're playing, no problem. They mightn't win it, but they'd survive there, absolutely no problem. So that Premier Junior Hurling is actually a very, very decent standard. And like, you can see it, Ballygiblin got to the All-Ireland final last year, Russell Rovers in the final year before, and Ballygiblin look like they're going to make it again this year. Standard is very high there. So, you know, speaking from Timothy's point of view, you know, we'd be just focused on the draw, who's in our group, trying to get out of the group would be job number 1. Going back to the football, you know, I still think, you know, looked at West Cork final this year, it was kind of men against boys, really, if you want to just put a general term about it. And, you know, very difficult to win adult competitions when half of your team is still under 21. You know, you have to be patient. You have to look for those incremental improvements. Make sure the attitude stays good. You know, put the facilities and the program in place for them to improve. But I think you just have to be patient. I don't think you can expect anything to happen very quickly, like, you know.
Well, hope for your sake anyway that Argideen Rangers do well, and of course Barryroe and both clubs in the Ibane region, like they're two fantastic clubs and a fantastic achievement to win the double under 21A championships this season. Thanks, Paul, for your time on the Star Score podcast. Best of luck for next season, and yeah, good times for Ibane. Roll on.
Cheers, Matthew. Take care.